What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Monday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt, and we are in the middle of an ice age. Friday loser, Saturday loser, and Sunday loser. We were good on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but overall we go 10-16 on the week. We are down. We took a pretty big chunk out of the overall bankroll and what I was up for the year. The Vikings, my God, they made it pretty, but they lose the game over in Ireland. First half was awful. The Browns and the Lions, that game fell 44. That was the play of the day. So if you bet 44, you pushed. I bet it overnight, and it was 44.5, so that's a loss. The Rams luckily win, but that probably should have been a loss if somebody hangs on to the football into the end zone. The Colts probably win that game. And then the Chargers lose. Patriots in a blowout. Chargers lose. Bad bet there because of the Chargers, unfortunately, go down. So 1-3, down 2.45 units on the day. Now, couple of things to recap here at the top. Major League Baseball is over, okay? So that means we have had 5 bets graded from the Major League Baseball regular season. Those 5 bets are the Cardinals, win, over, hit it. Rockies, under, wins, we hit it. Tampa Bay to miss the playoffs, that should be 1.86. I flipped the numbers, which I can do sometimes. Up 1.86 units on Tampa Bay to miss the playoffs. Rangers over on their wins, that missed. The Astros to win the World Series, that missed. So that should be 1 unit, by the way, not 1.1. That should just be 1 unit. So that takes us to a 3-2 mark, up 1.78 units, like 1.8, I think it is. So it's 1.8 units being up on the day for Major League Baseball, to recap. Now, that leaves us with 2 bets left in Major League Baseball. 1, the Cubs to win the National League, and 2, the Brewers to win the World Series. Those 2 bets matter because it factors into our third play today that I'm going to give you that happens to be in Major League Baseball. But double night for Monday Night Football. 2 bets coming at you here on the Daily Juice for the games coming up for tonight. But before we do that, we should tell you about our friends at Hard Rock Bet. They are the title sponsor of the Daily Juice podcast. Week 4 concludes tonight with 2 games, a doubleheader, New York versus Miami and Cincinnati against Denver. Listen to these streaks from Hard Rock Bet, their stats hub. You'll find live odds to bet on all these streaks on the Hard Rock Bet app. Miami has won 9 in a row against New York at Hard Rock Stadium. Devon Achane has scored a touchdown in 6 straight home games. As a home favorite, Denver has won 8 in a row, and both J.K. Dobbins and Cortland Sutton have scored a touchdown following a loss in 4 games in a row. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time to get $150 in bonus bets. If you win, just place $5. If it hits, you will not only get the winnings, but also $150 in bonus bets. Plus tonight, Hard Rock Bet, you can get a Monday night parlay boost for the game. There's new promos every day. Boost your same game parlay or your SGP max tonight so your bet pays extra winnings. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. Okay, let's talk football, then baseball. We'll go a little lengthy on baseball because I think it's a strategic play that I'm going to make coming up here for us for the playoffs. Tuesday, tomorrow. Unbelievable. 4 games. Tigers, Guardians, Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, are you kidding me? The American League playoffs are going to be electric. But let's talk tonight. Game 1. The Dolphins and the Jets. So Justin Fields will start tonight for the Jets. As you just heard, the Jets have really struggled playing against Miami. The total in these games, head-to-head wise, we're 5-5 to the 5-5 on from a total perspective. But the last 2 games last year, January, December, went over. Last time the game was played in Miami last year was in December of 24. 32-26, the game went over 45.5. Now, that's a very similar number to what we're looking at right now with 44.5 between these 2 teams. To me, when you look at Tua and the way he's been at home, he is a 10 times better quarterback at home than he is on the road. If you're looking to back Tua on the road, he's 13-19 straight up. At home, he's 25-9 straight up. Okay, different player, much better. Both these teams are 0-3. Both these teams are desperate. Now at night, Tua as a starter, 15 times in prime time. Miami is 5-10 straight up and against the spread. Okay, that's not good. Okay, that is not good for Tua. But at home, in prime time in South Beach, it gets even worse. Tua is 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the number. The Dolphins are favored over the Jets. Again, Justin Fields coming back here in this game. I just think when you talk about the Jets defense, the Jets are going to give up points. Okay, the Jets defense is having a tough time on third down, having a tough time getting off the field. They don't have the same pass rush they had in years past, and Tua at home is a better quarterback, like I talked about, and their offense is just better. Their playmakers are better. A-Chain and Hill are just better. They're on the ball better, okay? Patriots and the Dolphins just played a whale of a football game in which we saw so many points being put up. I'm going to bet the over in this game, but I'm not going to get burned like I got burned with the 44.5 with the Lions and the Browns. So I'm going to buy the half a point, okay? And you don't have to do that. You can just lay the over. If you want to trail this and just bet the over, you can. But when I go ice cold, I tend to try to guarantee I don't get burned on the hook like I did with the Lions and the Browns. I'm going to go over 44, but buy it down at minus 125. Circus Sports, not expensive, minus 125 for me here in Vegas to go ahead and buy it. I bought it down to minus 125 and went over 44. I do think we see offense. I do think we see both teams score. I do think we see turnovers. I think Tua throws a pick tonight. I'll be curious to see what Justin Fields looked like, because Tyrod Taylor was good last week. I liked what I saw out of Tyrod Taylor. So if Justin Fields doesn't look right with the concussion protocol, I think you have Tyrod Taylor coming in, and he's a serviceable backup that can score on this Dolphins defense. I don't love Miami's defense. We saw Justin Fields put up big points up against the Steelers defense, and I think the Dolphins equally will surrender points here. I'm going to play the over. Let's go over 44. Buy it down from 44.5 to 44. Dolphins, Jets over at minus 125 for 1.25 units. Now, Broncos, late game, up against the Bengals. The Bengals and Jake Browning. Yikes. So if you look at head coaches, since 2013, Sean Payton has faced 26 teams with a backup quarterback. Those backup quarterbacks are 6-20 against Sean Payton straight up. 11-15 against the spread, though. But last 16 games, 2-14 straight up. That's not great, okay? That's not great. Sean Payton is 12-4 straight up at home, facing a backup quarterback. Now, Zach Taylor, without Joe Burrow, has not been good. And I mean has not been good by any stretch of the imagination. However, I am taking a little bit of a risk here, just historically speaking. When a team gets blown out in the NFL, these are professional athletes. These are prideful athletes. They tend to bounce back. The Bengals lost 48-10 last week, 38-point margin of a loss. Teams who lost by 28 or more points, who are then underdogs their next game, big underdogs by 4 points or more, 7.5 tonight, 119, 76-3. Okay? ATS, 61%. Bo Nix didn't play great last week, but here's the thing. It's the offensive line and the defensive line I think will be the difference in this football game. I think the Bengals can't stop the run, and I think the Broncos are going to road grade them tonight. I think the Broncos are going to run the ball at will against the Bengals, and on the other side, I think the offensive line for the Bengals is in real trouble. I think this Broncos defense is going to eat tonight, and I think Jake Browning's going to have no time to get the football out. I don't think Chase Brown's going to be able to run the ball very much here, and that makes Jake Browning one-dimensional. And I just think a coach that is 8-23 now, straight up, without Joe Burrow, continues his misery. And Browning's at home, and at home he looked good. I think at home he will play well. But on the road, in primetime, at altitude with that offensive line against the defensive line for the Broncos and that secondary. I think Browning will make mistakes. I think Browning will be picked off. He'll be sacked consistently. And on the flip side, I think you're going to see a big game from the offense running the football. And that's why I don't think this game flies over. So I would be hesitant to bet the over in the game. But I just think in terms of the schedule, in terms of the spot, I just think this is a mismatch in a lot of ways here. And I think J.K. Dobbins and company, I think they run the ball like crazy. I could see maybe 10 to 13 points being scored by the Bengals. And on the flip side, I think it's 24-13 type final here for the Broncos. I don't think it's going to be a massively high-scoring game, but I do think it's going to be a dominated performance by the offensive line, by the Broncos against the Bengals on both sides. Offensive and defensive lines, I think, will control this game, and that's why the Broncos will win this. Denver's been very good at home. They're 8-1 straight up over their last 9 games at home. I think they win, and they'll cover 7. I'm going to buy it off of 7.5 and buy it down. You don't have to, okay? But this podcast is what I am betting. So I'm going to bet it down to 7. I don't want to lose on a hook. And it's only minus 130 on a money. It's basically, I feel like it's almost like a money line play. I don't think the Bengals win this game. 3 road teams won yesterday. 3. Home teams are dominating in the NFL right now. And frankly, the Cowboys should have won, but we were in the Discord channel talking about that, and we got the Cowboys. We teased the Cowboys up to 13, pulled the total down to 41, and took the over, and that cashed easily. 80 points got scored in that game. Which, by the way, can we all agree that the NFL needs to figure out a way to not have ties? Like, can we play 10 minutes and then adapt the college football rules, where you then will go and have a team, after 10 minutes of action, we're going to put the ball on the 25-yard line and let each team have a possession and just play it out like that, and then make the teams go for 2 and to try to end the game like that. It was 9 o'clock Pacific time when the game ended. That's midnight Eastern time. Everybody stayed up and watched a 4-hour football game. To have it end in a tie, if you're in a survivor pool, both teams got eliminated. Both teams, everyone who picked the Packers and the Cowboys, they're all out. I don't know how many people took the Cowboys, but Packers were a big pick in survivor pools. You're out. Some let you stay alive for a tie, but most for the Circa Million, nope. Circa Survivor, nope, you're out if you took the Packers. So we got to correct that. I don't like ties. The NHL get rid of ties. Baseball made sure you don't have ties. Football needs to be next. College football, get rid of ties. The NFL needs to be next. We can't have, in 2025, we cannot have ties. It makes absolutely no sense to do that. But you know what does make sense? Prop bet cheat sheet. Have you guys checked this out yet? I've been talking about it for a long time. You guys should 100% go and check it out. The prop bet cheat sheet is a great way to attack tonight's action here in the NFL. The NFL prop bet cheat sheet shows you the best value plays for every game, every day. You get daily prop bet value rankings based on projections. Find the best props for all major passing, rushing, and receiving stat categories. Use it now by going to bettingpros.com/props or go to the BettingPros app and check it out. The prop bet cheat sheet. I use it for the NBA a ton. I use it for the NFL as well. Check it out. Finally, let's talk some baseball. Well, 2 things on the way out. 2 things. First, last bet, and then one thing to say. I want to comment on one thing. Say a thank you. The playoffs are set up like this. Okay, if you don't know yet, if you're listening, I'm putting it up on the screen. I apologize, but here's the postseason. Okay, I want your attention to the bottom right hand bracket. Okay, screw the Yankees. We hate the Yankees. We'll talk about that later. The Cubs play the Padres. Okay, we have a 6.5 to 1 ticket on the Cubs to win the National League. We have a 27 to 1 ticket on the Brewers to win the World Series. So if the Cubs lose to the Padres, we would have to be really banking heavily on the Brewers to get there. Okay. rather than worry, let's guarantee ourselves a team in the National League Championship Series. The way we do that is by taking the Padres right now. Now, it does give up 1 unit on the Brewers, but I'm okay with that. It gives up 1 unit on the Cubs, technically as well. But the Padres or the Cubs will face the Brewers. I want to have tickets on all 3 teams. So if the Brewers are there in the National League Championship Series, we will go ahead and hedge because we have so much value on that, okay? We will guarantee profit every step of the way. You can let this ride if you want, but I'm always about trying to guarantee myself profit. So I'm going to take the Padres to win the National League just to get to the World Series. At most books, it's 7.5 to 1. I think this is a very smart strategic play. We have guaranteed ourselves 1/2 of the National League Championship Series, and it's because we're set up so well here with the Cubs and the Brewers from a money standpoint. So let's go ahead and jump in on that at plus 750 for 1 unit for the Padres to win the National League. You could also do the Padres to win the World Series if you want, but I just think that we want the Brewers to get there. So I think the Padres to win the World Series is a little more complicated, a little more difficult to get into it, but because I don't know if they're able to get past the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the team that could blow everything up for us, okay? But if it is Brewers versus Dodgers in the National League Championship Series, we have tons of wiggle room to come in here and bet on the Dodgers to guarantee us profit, okay, from a World Series perspective. So we will figure this out. We will guarantee ourselves that we will make money on this ticket for the Brewers because we have such an incredible amount of value to play on with it. So we're going to do that. So the plays for Monday, Broncos -7 and -130, Jets and the Dolphins over 44 at -125, and the Padres to win the National League at plus 750 to try to get ourselves into a situation where we now have at least 1/2 of the National League Championship Series. We'll see who winds up coming out of it on the other side. Again, if you look at the top of the bracket, Reds against the Dodgers, that should be pretty quick. Dodgers-Phillies is going to be epic. Phillies are the odds-on favorite to win the World Series right now, so you get the Phillies. And then when the Phillies, if it's the Phillies and the Brewers or the Phillies and the Cubs or Phillies and the Padres, whoever it might be, we're technically getting a better ticket, 6.5 to 1 and 7.5 to 1 or 27 to 1. We're sitting on better tickets there for the National League Championship Series. So I am way too invested emotionally in the American League side of things to get involved financially. So let's keep going with the National League to attack it with the postseason. It all begins on Tuesday. So let's go ahead and have that. So we guarantee ourselves at least one team. We know 1/2 from a ticket perspective. We have 1/2 of the National League Championship Series if we buy the Padres. So do that, buy the Padres. Okay, one quick thing and a big thank you. So my other show, The Bostonian versus the Book, it will be on today, 1 o'clock Eastern time. There's a podcast audio. If you listen to the Daily Juice, you can go search for The Bostonian versus the Book on Apple and Spotify. It comes out around like 2:30 Eastern time every weekday. Show is live from 1 to 2-ish, 2:15-ish Eastern time, live on the Bostonian versus the Book YouTube page. But I wanted to say publicly a thank you to BettingPros and Fantasy Pros for the donation that they gave to Dave Sharapan, my co-host on that show, who passed away last weekend. Dave will be buried a week from today in Las Vegas. And I didn't see it. I wish I saw it earlier, but I didn't see it until Friday. And I wanted to make sure that I said a public thank you to the company. And I've worked for a lot of crummy media companies in my career, and it really makes me happy that I'm currently working for a company that has a soul, and that for a company that will, not even telling me, they gave $1,000 and didn't even tell me, to the GoFundMe that was set up for Dave and his family in the wake of his passing. So really meant the world to me, and I wanted to say a big thank you publicly to the owners of BettingPros and Fantasy Pros for doing that, because it did not go unnoticed, and I wanted to say it publicly that was a first class, just a really, really nice gesture to someone who they met literally one time when I brought Dave to an event here in Vegas for BettingPros, and that was the only time that they met Dave. So to make that donation to his family really meant a lot to me. So I wanted to say thank you to BettingPros and Fantasy Pros for doing that. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.